In Breath of the Wild, there are many Easter eggs that point to one timeline or another, but have never played an important role story-wise. But like the sacred relics, I have found three evidence that point this game's placement in the timeline as being at the end of the Downfall timeline. So let's start with the first piece of evidence. The King's Journal. Hidden behind a metal bookcase within the library of Hyrule Castle is the King's study, and within it is the King's Journal. Inside the journal, the King writes, "Today, as the sun rose and a new day was born, my daughter, too, joined this sweet world. In keeping with the traditions of the royal family, I have decided to name her Zelda." As you can see, there had never been any game in the Zelda timeline that mentioned this tradition but one. The Downfall timeline's final Zelda game, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. In the backstory of the game, told the tale of a prince whose dark thoughts led to a wizard to manipulate him enough to be able to cast a spell on his sister and put her in a magical coma that she will not wake from. In order to honor his sleeping sister, he made a royal decree that all firstborn daughters of the royal family from then on be known by the name Zelda. As you can clearly see, this is the only time that tradition is mentioned. No other game in other two timeline splits mention this tradition. The divine beasts, Ruta and Ouroboros. In a monument at the foot of the mountain that Ruta stands, after you beat the water blight Ganon, stands a monument carved into the mountain that describes the sage princess Ruta. It describes as a time more distant than the creation of the divine beast by Ruta, there was a Zora princess named Ruta, who was the attendant of the Zora patron deity, and was beloved by all. Around that time, an evil man appeared, and brought disaster upon Zora's domain. Ruto awoke as a sage, and fought alongside the Princess of Hyrule and the hero of legend. Her achievements are remembered not only by the Zora, but is forever etched in the history of Hyrule. The divine beast Ban Ruta, built ages later to face off against the Calamity Ganon, was named in honor of Ruto. As you can clearly see, there is only two timeline splits events that Ruto awakened as a sage, which are the adult and downfall timelines. It is impossible in the child timeline due to the sages that do appear in the Twilight Princess era being mentioned to be ancient sages and look entirely different and have no connection to Ruto or the next point of this part. After freeing Ban Ouroboros from the Thunderblight Ganon, Urbosa, the Gerudo champion, talks about Nabooru and how she is a legend of the Gerudo, celebrated over the ages, and that Ouroboros was named to honor her. And finally, the last fact is the fact of the location of the Triforce within Breath of the Wild. While it is not directly mentioned by the people within the game, we do know that it appears to be inside Zelda when she saved Link from the Guardians. But wait, you might ask, what about the other two timelines? Well, in the child timeline, the Triforce of Power is gone, and we never see it again or the complete Triforce after the events of Twilight Princess. In the adult timeline, after the wish is granted, the Triforce splits itself and disappeared, along with the destruction of Hyrule by the King's wish. You may ask, so what is the status of the Triforce at the end of the Downfall time? Well, guess how the ending of Zelda 2 is shown. As you can see, the Triforce is complete by the end of this game. So what you may ask is what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is The only timeline in which the full Triforce is in the hands of the royal family is the Downfall timeline. The other two timelines are either missing one or missing them all. But part of the theory is the fact that Zelda's family has passed down the secret relic secretly from mother to daughter all this time after the events of Zelda 2. In secret, I mean that the knowledge of this passing down of the Triforce was kept secret even from the royal family after the Zelda from Zelda 2 requested it and probably make sure that she is okay and obtain the Triforce. In conclusion, there's only one timeline Breath of the Wild takes place, and that is the Downfall timeline. Let me know your thoughts by commenting below. Subscribe and follow on Twitter to continue this discussion. This has been Gold Liger, and I say, welcome to the Pride.